Every year with the debate, with the Intelligence Squared debate. This year the debate has been supported by Councillage and Suhel Seth, and we're very grateful to him for supporting that. This debate took some amount of time sort of formulating, because we were debating as to what we should end this year's festival with. And I think in a sense it's come at a timely point, given what happened earlier today. The topic of discussion is, has man replaced God? Speaking on the motion, and we don't have a fair divide between for and against, and we will ask each of the speakers to state their points of view for 3 minutes each, after which we'll give them 3 minutes each to refute each other's points of view. I will then open it out to the House and take clusters of questions. Please make sure that you're asking a question as opposed to making a comment, and keep them short so we can take as many people as possible. Stand up when you're speaking so I'm able to see you and the cameras are able to see you. Introducing our very eminent panel today, I'm going to begin with Richard Dawkins. All of you have just heard him. He has amazing best-selling books, including The Selfish Gene, The God Delusion. He's the recipient of a number of honors and awards, including the 1987 Royal Society of Literature Award, the 1990 The Greatest Show on Earth, and The Evidence of Evolution. We are delighted that Richard is here with us today. Thank you very much and welcome. We have with us Javed Akhtar, who was on the panel before. I don't need to introduce Javed Saab, poet, lyricist, and scriptwriter. He again has won a number of debates, a number of scripts across the world. We have Suhel Seth, the managing partner of Councillage India. Councillage is India's only strategic brand management and marketing consultancy, advising chairpersons and CEOs on branding and marketing. They continue to work with Tata Steel, the Taj Group, Hero Honda, Tata Teleservices, NDTV, Coca-Cola, and Max India. He himself is a great debater and a theatre and film actor, and he has recently written his first book. We have with us, or rather we're privileged to have with us, somebody who I've admired for many, many years, activist and political commentator Aruna Roy. She has worked for decades in rural India. She started the Mazdoor Kisan Kisa Shakti Sangathan MKSS in Rajasthan and began the successful struggle for the right to information, which culminated in the RTI law passed by Parliament in 2005. She currently is the advisor and member of the National Advisory Council. She advises Government of India on social policy. As many of you know, Aruna's position on the present Lokpal Bill debate is very nuanced. I think she needs much more time to be able to convince people that there is another way to take on the process of Lokpal, and we do not necessarily need to create extra institutions which are extra constitutional to be able to do so. Thank you, Aruna, for coming in today from Thilonia. We have with us Professor Salim Engineer, who you heard before, Associate Professor and Head in Electronics and Communication at the Engineering Department of MNIT. He is also the National Secretary of the Jamaat-e-Islami Hind. Professor. We have Ashok Vajpayee, a Hindi poet, critic, and translator and editor. He has more than 13 books of poetry, 7 of criticism in Hindi, and 3 books on art in English. He has received the Sahitya Academy Award, the Dayawant Kavi Shekhar Samman, and a number of other awards from both India and abroad. And we're delighted that Ashok agreed to join us on the panel. We have, I in fact asked Suhel, I said, Suhel, I'm going to try and duck today's, trying to chair the session today and leave it to you all. And he said, no, you just do it. So forgive me if I'm going to stumble through this particular last session. Kaisra Shahraz is a Fellow of the Royal Society of the Arts. She's a prize-winning and critically acclaimed novelist and scriptwriter born in Pakistan. She's lived in the UK since childhood. Her novels, The Holy Woman and Typhoon, have been translated into Hindi, Urdu, Turkish, Indonesian, and Dutch. Her serialized drama, The Heart Is It, was broadcast globally and won 2 awards in Pakistan. Her short stories, The Elopement, A Pair of Jeans, and The Escape, explore cross-cultural migration and issues of multiple identities. She's a freelance journalist, and she continues to contribute to newspapers and magazines, including The Times London. To introduce you last is somebody who actually needs no introduction. If you see a flash of saffron with a turban, you know that is Swamiji. For those of you who don't know, Swamiji, apart from being an activist and a politician in his own right, also runs one of the largest NGOs in the world that work very closely in providing livelihood for bonded labor across India. He has been working on this for many, many years, for decades in fact, and I think has successfully freed thousands of children. Ladies and gentlemen, Swami Agnivesh. I will begin in no particular order except the order that they're sitting in. Each of them will be given 3 minutes to speak. As I said, at 2.5 minutes, a very loud noise or bang is going to go off behind you. That's your warning, and if you continue, it'll drown you out after 3 minutes. Kaisra.
Good evening, everyone. Unfortunately, it's my turn first of all, but I'm happy to be here anyway. And I've loved the festival. I'm saying that God has not been replaced by man. He is simply irreplaceable. In my faith, as a Muslim, every day of our life, if you say your prayers, you are saying, La ilaha illallah, meaning literally, there is no God but Allah. All the time, when you read the Quran, you say your prayers. We recite the word La Sharika, God has no rival. As we say the prayers or we wash our hands, we say Allah Akbar, so we say God is great. So when you're reciting all these things every day of your life, then how can you possibly think that God is absent out of your life? Also, God, for most of us, means the creator of the universe. Now, if that is the case, has man created the universe? I will first say that man has done tremendous things in this century. And I, as a woman particularly, have benefited greatly. I love this century. As a woman, I've been able to take advantage of science, been able to control my fertility through contraception. People use health through science. So I appreciate all of that. Science has affected our lives. I also appreciate that non-believers lead fulfilled, happy life. They lead the same life as we do. So I appreciate the other side of the coin. But I will also say that as modern people living in the West or living in India or in Pakistan, faith still plays a part in our life. Why? For most of us, no matter which faith you belong to, it's a way of life. You can't get away from it. We had Oprah the other day, and she was talking about faith, how important it was. She was talking about, how Abhishek and his wife had altars at home. So what she was referring to, that faith is complementary into our lives. The other thing I would say is faith has no clash with modernity, has no clash with science. My other colleagues will say science is the way forward. And often they will use the argument that science conflicts with faith. That if you have science, you cannot possibly have God, that you are deluded, etc., etc. But I will say that you can be both. You can have both. Science plays a part in our life. Technology plays a part in our life. But then that does not mean that belief in God has gone. Okay. That's it.
I know. That's the first signal. You actually had another 30 seconds if you still want to go.
Well, you have. If you want to.
Okay. I'm trialing it for everybody else. Okay, the final thing. Faith enriches our life. If you took away the month of Ramadan out of my life, God knows what my life would be like, because it adds happiness. It adds flavor to our lives. Also, it enriches us in other ways, in the sense it gives us a personal identity. I am who I am because of my faith. So if you took that away from me, I've lost it. People will also say that we are deluded in the sense we blindly follow it. We don't. Okay, as a child you might.
मित्रों, ईश्वर ने जब इतनी भाषाएं बनाई हैं, तो अगर वो इस बहस को सुन रहा हो, खुदा न खास्ता अगर हो, तो हमारी जुबान भी सुन लेगा। वैलेस स्टीवंस की एक कविता है, द सुप्रीम फिक्शन। आई थिंक गॉड इज द सुप्रीम फिक्शन ऑफ मैन। I don't think the leaves and birds and animals and rivers, etc. have a concept of God. They don't have even a concept of immortality. They don't have a concept of mortality, perhaps. No river knows that I'm going to end into this sea, etc. So I think their time has come. I don't believe that man has replaced God, but man has misused God for so many centuries that he had better be left alone. And we should start looking into all our affairs without all the time doing things of utter violence, ignominy, bigotry in the name of God. Now that has happened for so many centuries. But on the other hand, God, in the name of God, great literature, great art, great music, etc. have also been created. In fact, in Vedic Sanskrit, God is named as a poet, which delights me. I'm a poor poet, but that my name has something to do with God is a good assurance that you are on the right path. But to me it appears, therefore, time has come when we should create a metaphysics which does not draw its legitimacy from God, but it draws its legitimacy from the fact that we all want to be part of a larger reality, that if I am in trouble, there is a star somewhere which has a tear in his eye. I want to get that assurance. I want to be a part of a larger reality, but I don't have to keep on all this, give this burden, again I say, on God, who may or may not be. I'm not concerned with that so much. What I'm concerned with is, can we create a universe, a world in which there will be greater responsibility for each other, greater concern for each other, respect of freedom of each other, and we will not need a God who can watch such killing, such war, such violence with equal equanimity. Thank you.
Suhel.
There are more statues of Mayavati in UP than of any god or goddess I've known. You mention Mayavati and this is what happens all the time. There are more godmen in India than we have working traffic lights. These are all factual, this factual data. I think we've started believing in the concept of man being